What is going on, everybody? He is I am him. It's your main man, Chi. Real quick, y'all, I just want to let y'all know what y'all are about to tune into, what y'all are about to lock into is a very special episode. It is a collaboration. It is So In the Meantime meets Let's Start Healing. For those who are not aware, my cousin Adrianne Murchison, love you, cuz, she has a podcast called Let's Start Healing. Matter of fact, if you look back into the archives of So In the Meantime, there is an audio episode, and I will be dropping that episode as well, not right here, but later on. It will be an archive episode. But that episode, for the culture, that was the episode that me and her did. And this episode is another episode that we did for the culture to a degree. But we had the honor of having my other cousin, her nephew, my cousin, Russ, a.k.a. Russ Digi. He's also been on my podcast, and he's been on her podcast numerous times and have been on previous pods that I've hosted in the past. We basically sat down and we talked about the Kendrick Lamar video, the Hart Part 5. We all know that video. We all know how iconic that video is and how powerful and meaningful that video is. So we dive into that and we talk everything about that video, from the people that he had representing in that video, the meanings behind it, what this culture means to us. So I ain't gonna hold y'all anymore. Check this video out. I'm out.
Welcome, Charles. Welcome, Russell.
Hey, how you doing?
What's going on?
I'm excited, as usual, about this episode. We're going back to culture, and it's something that I like to bring up to you two. And we're going to be talking about Kendrick Lamar's The Heart Part 5, but I want to just give a little backstory into why I'm so fascinated with this. And really, when I was living in New York in the 90s, I lived there for 10 years, and I'm not a hip hop person. That's the main thing I want to say. I'm not a hip hop person, but I've been pulled in because I'm so into so many podcasts by hip hop people. So, but the thing I want to say is that I really wasn't into it because of the 90s with, everybody dying. And, I just felt so much around Black men killing each other. It just was making me angry and hurt and upset. And so I just was like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. But, it is a part of my Black culture, and you guys are my family. And I just can't resist it right now. So well, before we even get to that, I want to go to my healing questions, because for my purposes, this is a spiritual podcast as well as a culture podcast. So I want you two to talk to me about where you are right now, today in your life, in terms of, your spirit. How are you doing right now in terms of mind, body, and spirit, and how you relate to God right now?
You can go first, cuz.
Well, how am I doing spiritually? Not good. Not whatsoever. I'm recording this on a very somber day. I just found out this morning that my childhood friend, who was literally like a little brother to me, passed away today.
Oh man.
So yeah, and it's very triggering because of how he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much in the same breath as how Khalid passed away.
Oh man.
That's
So,
awesome.
so it's like I'm very much just like all over the place. It was very, it's been tough. You know,
How
'cause
old? How old was he?
32.
Oh
And
man.
he had a stroke, as far as you know, or
No, he honestly, from what I've heard, um, he was working out. He was at the gym, passed out, and hit his head on um some equipment.
Mhm.
And he they was rushing him to the hospital, and on his way to the hospital, he went into cardiac arrest, but he had a brain aneurysm,
Mhm.
and pretty much it was the side effects was irreversible, and you know they had to call his mom, and they flew out like as soon as that happened. This happened last night, so they flew him out as soon as it happened, and then she had to make that tough decision that I don't think nobody ever
Mhm.
wants to make.
Right.
Yeah, man.
So, and I just he just moved. Actually, he just moved to Atlanta this past week. Like last week, he just went down there. He
Mm.
went down there, had an interview yesterday, got a job, everything. So
Oh
he
my.
was really on the path of like just starting his whole life all over again.
And so this
Um,
happened here in Atlanta.
mhm. Yeah. So
Man, that's heavy, man. Like, man, prayers to his family, but like, man, that's yeah, I feel like and I'm not trying to cut you off or anything, but just when I hear somebody like around my age range, you know what I mean, passing away, it hurts. Like it feels like I know you knew this person and you felt like you lost a brother, but it's like I just felt like I lost a brother in spirit, just like the way it hit my heart. Like, nah, man, it's not time. Cause I
right.
can remember what I was doing at 32. I can remember how my life was changing. So I'm so sorry to hear that. My
I'm so
condolences.
sorry too. I mean, that's so shocking. I know you're still processing.
Yeah, I am, but like I was kind of going back and forth if I wanted to even do this, but then he was a creator just like me. He
Mhm.
was very much into videos and doing all types of stuff, and I know that he would want me to do something like this.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and I never thought that like I would be in a position where it's like I would be saying something like that. Like I know he would want me to do this,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
Yeah.
know. So, but it's eerie because a couple weeks ago they was just um talking about his father. His father passed away a couple weeks ago, about
No
five,
kidding.
6 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And then just to see have this happen now, and then for like me, next month is gonna be a year.
Right.
So it's like,
Since Khalid passed.
yeah,
Mhm.
so it's just hard. And it's like right now, everybody's trying to wrap their brain around it because of like he just went down there. One of our childhood friends lives in North Carolina, and they just talked about meeting up in Atlanta like at the end of this month. And
Mhm.
you know, I talked to him right before he left, because he had posted something on Instagram referring to himself as the Prince of Northland.
Oh,
And I
wow.
had like jokingly like was like, that's true, but he was like, nah, like, but you the king of Northland. And I was like, nah, and we just started having these conversations about how he like legit all my stuff that I got done with wearing, I got tired of wearing it. I gave it to him, and he literally was like so happy to have stuff that I wore because it was like a badge of honor or whatever. Because I was just like, his big bro. Like I was telling my
Yeah.
daughter today, he was the little brother that I didn't ask for, but I was given. I was
Oh man.
given, and then
What was his name? What is his name?
Jimmy Hawkins Jr.
Jimmy.
you
Man.
know and it's crazy because small world, his cousin is my brother's wife.
Mm.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
and we all grew up together,
Yeah.
you know.
Wow.
So that's how I found out about the whole situation, was from my brother, because my brother
Mhm.
had called my mom,
Yeah.
because Sierra, my sister-in-law, her dad let them know what was going on.
Yeah.
So
Man.
Wow. So it's hard to reconcile all of that, just the losses.
yeah,
Mm.
Yeah.
so I'm just trying to be in the best spirit as possible with everything that's going on. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
I forgot I had therapy today, so my therapy session was very much intense.
Oh man.
You know,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it was much needed for me at this time
Yeah.
because of everything that was going on.
Yeah.
Well, we're sending prayers and love to his family.
Thank
So
you.
Definitely.
sorry.
Thank you.
How about you, Russell? How are you doing in mind, body, and spirit? Where are you right now today?
Man, it's been a tough week. You know what I mean? I'll be honest with you. Um, it's tough at work, you know what I mean? Not for any particular stress other than just being busy. I'm the type of person that the way you can stress me out is to like shake up my peace. And so when I get pulled in too many directions, it just makes me kind of like agitated and like I don't know. It's not like something to complain about, but it's just the way my spirit feels. Like I'm tired after work. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of like mentally drained after work. So I'm just trying to get to a place where it doesn't feel so like rocky. Um
I can hear it in your voice too when I'm talking to you on the phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's just it's
Yeah.
it's it's different. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's just
Yeah.
like I couldn't imagine like feeling this way, a few months ago about my job. But the crazy part about it is it's happened because I've been given more responsibility. So
Yeah.
like if you're one of those ambitious type of people, you would look at it and be like, "Oh, yes, that's great." And then I'm the type of person that's like, "Nah, but I'm not happy."
Yeah.
Like it would be great if I was happy, but if I'm
Right.
not happy, nothing's great.
Right.
But it's nothing that I can't shake off if I don't pay attention to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Spiritually, from a personal standpoint, I've been kind of up and down. You know what I mean? Like I have my highs and lows. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get too deep, but when you lose a parent or when you lose your parents, most recently my dad, it's such an interesting dynamic having my son because I feel like I understood what happened with him when he lost his dad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, he lost Grandpa Goose, and I was a little bit younger than Jack, but at the same token, it gave him a purpose and something to focus on and a love to kind of like
Right.
receive from him. And then by us all having the same name, it's almost like it's a legacy feeling. Like it feels just a little bit more deeper. Not that if your child's not named after you, you don't feel
Right.
it, but you just feel it differently. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like that's how it's up and down. Like it's really up, when I'm around Jack and just thinking about stuff like that. And not that I don't, feel that way about like my wife and my daughter either.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
it's just that direct lineage thing that kind of like helps pull me back.
Right.
But outside of that, I mean, like I say, I'm always connected to God. It's not a questioning or a why or what's going on or anything of that nature that makes me feel like, oh my gosh, like my life is so hard right now. I mean, you and I were just talking on the phone the other day about like how I identify and have so much respect for people with a survivor's mentality.
Mhm.
And so that's what I tap into. I just tap into my strength. I tap into wanting to survive. I tap into the solace of knowing that I'm gonna get through it. But when you're
Yeah.
going through it, it's just tough.
Yeah.
It's like running. It's like you can run 4 miles, but on mile 2, you're like, damn, like
Exactly.
be glad when I'm done. And then when you're done, you was like, oh yeah, that was easy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the grieving process is it can be so drawn out. It takes as long as it takes,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it definitely does.
Mhm.
It's different, you know.
Yeah.
It's definitely different.
One day could be, good. Another day all of a sudden feel it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's like you gotta kind of keep it close to the vest because it's not even the fact that you don't want sympathy or empathy. It's just you don't want to affect other people, in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody can identify with that. Even in your situation, Charles, like you didn't tell us anything before this happened. And so, you know, we got love for you. We love you. Like if you needed to reschedule anything you needed to do, we were down.
Right.
But hopefully, like when we get into the meat of this podcast, they can give you like some kind of reprieve, like just if it's only for a second, 10
Right.
seconds, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so intense right now. Like I wasn't even thinking, even though, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's kind of why I wanted to do this one, because I just knew that I needed to get my mind off of
yeah,
everything that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why like I came here, because I had to do some editing, and I wanted to shoot some content just in general before I even knew about it. Like that's how I plan my day.
yeah,
But then once I heard it, I was like, all right, I'm gonna come here to get my mind off everything. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. It kind of hits me from time to time. Like my mentor, this is, I'm in my mentor studio,
hmm,
and he knew him. So we're sitting there talking, and he was like, he has video because he danced, well, I did all types of stuff. And he was like, yo, I was looking at videos, and I was like, I can't.
oh
Like I
man,
got I got pictures of when we were kids,
Mm-hmm.
like that I refuse to look at right now.
yeah,
Just because it's too fresh.
yeah,
Like I haven't processed, and I was telling my therapist, like, I don't think it's gonna process, I don't think it's gonna hit me as crazy as it sounds until I see like somebody post it,
yeah. I know what you mean.
you know, because like once that happens, then it's like, okay,
Yeah,
now it's really here now.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. You're making me want to comment on how I remember when my mom passed, and I would have dreams about her, and the dreams, she would still be alive in my dreams. It was like I could tell that I hadn't accepted that she was gone by the sensibility of my dreams.
Hmm.
And then after a while, she would be in my dreams, and I could tell, okay, she's different in my dreams. And I could tell my spirit was starting to accept that she was gone, just kind of
Yeah,
aware of the process I was going through.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But
tough.
I'm doing pretty good spiritually. I have been for, I don't know, almost a year, really trying to work on my mind and my thoughts, and thinking in a different way, even if I'm going through a challenging time. And, I can see my growth in that. And I can see where uh, it was something I really wanted, but I wasn't good at it. It wasn't working for me.
Got
And
you.
so, but I can see where um, I'm really moving forward, where I'm really, and I've mentioned this on previous episodes that I listened to, someone named Abraham Hicks, and
Hmm.
she's someone, it's a person or spirits that are being channeled, and they're called Abraham Hicks.
Hmm.
And the whole idea is to, feel whatever you want to experience. Not just think it, but feel the experience, feel the feeling that you would feel if it happened.
Okay.
And I can see where that is so helpful for me. And even when I go into, like, if something happens and I'm triggered into a negative space, it doesn't last that long.
Mhm.
Sometimes I can feel like I'm taking a step backwards right now. I feel terrible, but then it doesn't last that long. And I'm able to think differently and connect. All of it is about me staying connected to God and what I know is true. And so I just try to connect there and then move past it. So I'm feeling good about my progress.
Well, that's good. That's really good.
yeah,
I
that is.
mean, honestly, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's a very introspective way of just like looking at how you're dealing with life in general. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, that's good.
Because I've just felt like something's got to change, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to just change the way I manage me.
That's good. That's good,
Yeah.
man. Nah, I like that.
I've started developing. I think I told Russ this that I started journaling now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and it's been helpful. I had
Awesome.
someone gave me a 30-day entry challenge. So for like 30 days, I have to end this
I love it.
different affirmations that I have to write about.
Yeah,
So
That's good,
I
man.
it
love that.
definitely is helping me. It's helping
Mm-hmm.
me with a lot of stuff that I didn't realize that I needed to address. So
Mm-hmm. Well, so the video, Kendrick Lamar's video, I got a lot out of it spiritually, to tell you the
Mhm,
truth, which we'll get to later. But
mhm.
first, I would like for you guys to share what hip hop and culture means to you. And I've badgered you, especially like a year ago. I was like, "What's
Yeah,
up? I don't understand."
yeah,
Because I felt separated. I felt like after Charles and I had our podcast on For the Culture last summer, and after we had that conversation, I came away feeling that culture is many different things,
yeah.
and that for people of color,
Mhm.
and that it includes the Black community in many ways, the way my generation might say the community or the Black community,
Mhm.
now that the word culture is used, although culture very much applies to hip hop as well, first and
Yeah.
foremost. I understand that. So, anyway, share with me what hip hop represents to you and what culture represents to you. You go first, Charles.
oh, I gotta go first.
Bam.
Oh man. Hip hop to me, it's not a trend, it's a lifestyle.
Hmm.
Um it's my generation. It's a movement. Um that's all I can think of when I think of like hip hop. I just think of how it is it's the pinnacle of society now.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you can't look at anything without some form of hip hop being in there,
Right.
you know, from commercials to ads, like billboards to
Yeah.
fashion to everything,
Yeah.
Yep.
even stuff that you may not think has hip hop in it, there's hip hop in it,
That's it.
you
Yep.
know.
That's it.
So
I was telling Russell earlier that he used to say to me that hip hop was leading the world, and I told him that I just wanted to say shut up, like that's not all that matters.
but it
And,
is
I
when you
know.
think about it.
Well, now I see
Yeah.
that may say was a couple of years ago, but I see how it is in mainstream. I see how it is, at the company I work for. I see how it is if I'm looking at something like the Today Show. They have to have a hip hop culture element,
Yep.
to things, and so yeah, it is that. It
I
is that.
Yeah.
mean, it goes back to the conversation me and you had, and I remember telling you that like once hip hop touches something, it becomes, or once this culture touches something,
Yeah.
it becomes trending. It becomes the norm. Like for example, I'm starting to see the Bass Fisher hats. Those hats are starting to come back, and I'm kind of like,
Well, look,
I've
my
never
dad had a
seen
Bass Fisher hat that I have now. I inherited the hat.
right. But now you're
Bass
seeing
fishing, I should
more
say.
you're seeing more young people wearing it. You're seeing,
Uh-huh.
and it's just, I Saad, he was asking about it. He's like, when do people start wearing these hats again? It's
Yeah.
like, I couldn't tell you, but it's here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Russ, I was telling you earlier today, I was listening to a old Nori interview, and he was calling hip hop a race.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
tell me what hip hop means to you and culture.
All right. So Charles was spot on with everything. So I'm not gonna be repetitive and say everything he said, but I agree with it 100%. I think the biggest thing about it, just to add to what he was saying is hip hop is like love, right? It's culture is like love. It's an abstract thing. You can't necessarily put your hands on it. You can't really define it, but you know what it is when you experience it, right? We are hip hop, as he said. That is it. We were raised on hip hop. Like we were raised on the music of our parents, but the music that we picked as a culture, as a generation, was hip hop. So all of the elements and the things that we learned as kids, that's what started getting implemented into the real world, you know? And there's certain things that people don't even realize that they do in everyday culture that comes from hip hop. When you say yo for any reason, it's hip hop. When you say dope for any reason, it's hip hop. When you say word for any reason, it's hip hop. You know what I mean? That doesn't
Yep.
and that's all. Like the reason why hip hop is so strong is because it's words. It's poetic. It's
Mm-hmm.
our form of communication. It's the reason why the Wu Tang Clan can get all of their influence from kung fu movies, rap in English, go to Japan, sell out a show, and people know it word for word, but don't speak the language. You get what I'm saying? That's how it's abstract in the form of love. So hip hop is everything to us because we are hip hop.
Right.
Like if you took hip hop away from us, we wouldn't know what to have. We wouldn't have that form of communication. We wouldn't have that way of speaking in code. Hip hop, that's another form of hip hop, just speaking in code, being able to talk to Charles about something in front of a group of people and knowing that if they're not on the cusp of understanding what the lingo and vernacular is for the moment, they won't even understand what we're talking about.
So
You know what I'm saying?
do you agree with me that it's what you just described is where it starts, but it expands beyond a generation, where I said, to me, I see it as the community, as the Black community, or anybody who is, you don't have to be Black to be a part of hip hop. But do you agree? You see where I'm going?
Right. So you don't have to be Black to be a part of hip hop. You
Or the
don't have to be a
generational
certain
part.
age to be a
Hmm.
part of hip hop. But what
Hmm.
I will say is my opinion
Hmm.
is hip hop is dictated by Black culture, right? Because we may borrow something that is of another culture and incorporate it into hip hop, but the way that you use it and the terminologies that you use were created by Black people. It's no different than when we said bling bling, which we don't really say anymore. It turns into bling. And now that's a phrase that everyone uses. You can see two white women in New York going past Tiffany's and they're like, girl, I need to get some bling,
Right.
right? Like they're
Right.
not even thinking that shit is hip hop.
Hmm.
They think
Hmm.
they're saying something that's of themselves, but that's created by the Black people in New Orleans. Cash money in them. Like you get what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the whole thing is it's not exclusive, it's inclusive. So when people are offended by hip hop, they're only offended because they're in direct opposition with it. It's inclusive, you
Yeah.
know?
And I think that maybe some people don't understand, because I have to say that, I checked out for so long because of what I mentioned earlier, and also the misogynistic part of it, that was going on,
Right.
I guess, in the 90s, early 2000s. So I think that, I didn't have a realization of any evolution, and that could probably be true of a lot of people.
So we'll touch on that point when we touch on the video and the
Hmm.
song.
Yeah.
I won't forget
Okay.
where I want to bring that back, but I don't want to jump ahead. So
Okay.
I'll address the misogyny, I'll address the negativity when we talk about the song.
Okay. Well, I do want to ask you, to get into the video, what made you suggest this video, that I look at this video and this maybe be a topic that we address? How did you know that it would resonate for me?
Well, okay, so Charles can tell you, right?
Well,
Like,
I have to say something first.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
um, I was blown away. I mean, without going, deep into it like we will, I told you I was just blown. Like my heart was out of my chest
Mhm.
for a good 30 minutes after I was watching it. And I was even watching it a little while ago, and I'm just like got my head down at the end of the video. I'm like going into a meditation. I'm like so my heart and spirit are so like high
Mhm.
and affected.
Right.
I mean, that's power. That is really power to be an artist and have that kind of an effect. So okay, go ahead.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Exactly. So the thing about, Charles and I, we're of course of the same generation. We're family. We have a lot of similarities and a lot of just kindred spirit stuff that goes on that's directly, us, right? So a lot of times he'll send me some news. It could be about sports, culture, whatever. I'll send him some news about sports, culture, whatever. It's all interchangeable. Nothing happens like I may send him the link to the video, but that doesn't mean he didn't know about it at the same time I knew about it. Like we
Right.
experienced it in the same time or the same fashion. So this just happened to be one of those situations. That video dropped the week of his birthday, like a week after his
Mhm.
birthday. I'm
Right.
just chilling on YouTube TV on my Apple TV. Kendrick Lamar, what? Boom. I'm
Right.
play it. I go to my phone, hit my little library, hit the link, boom, shoot it to Charles. We do what we do. No different than we did a Royce the 5'9" video last week. You know what I mean? And it was what it was. It's the art, it's the essence. So we understand it, we dissect it, we digest it, and we know we're not going to get all of what he's saying that first time. But we know we got a healthy understanding of what we're experiencing, right? So since that time, which his birthday is in May, you know what I mean? I'll shout you out, you know what I'm saying?
In April. In April. With the
No,
video.
huh? What?
Charles's birthday?
Charles, yeah, he's 5'2".
Oh,
May
I'm
2nd.
going on. You know what? I'm sorry.
It's
Because I'm
okay.
thinking about your daughter. I'm thinking about Nessa. I'm sorry.
No.
Let me stop.
He's
It,
5'2".
it,
This J
it
drop because
it's
I'm gonna
so
link it.
it's so close
Yeah.
that I can understand.
'Cause my birthday's in there. Go ahead.
You know how the Taurus thing. So that's probably
Go
why you
ahead.
thought
Go
April
on.
1st.
Go
Because
on.
when I think of Pisces, I think of February, and there's more March Pisces than there
Right.
are February. So I
Right.
get it. So um over the course of the summer, of course he drops his album because that's a lead into the album as part of the rollout. And over the course of the summer, like anything else, I play videos on my YouTube TV all the time. I listen to music, so I'm just digesting it. And in that day, it hit me because you and I, we have several conversations throughout the week or whatever. And so it really hit me when you had a conversation about an experience you had with two friends and a
Mhm.
conversation that was around
Oh,
culture.
right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
so that made me think of it when I was listening to the song, and I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
I need to send this to, okay, so look, Adrian, I needed some homework, but I know,
Yeah.
when you get a chance, peep it, let me know what you think. Yo, I'm gonna shoot you the Genius lyrics so you can read it while you listening to it. You know what I'm saying? Or watch the
Mhm.
video,
Yeah.
play it again, read it. You know what I mean? Just how
Yeah.
just how we study hip hop. So
Mhm.
anyway, when you responded, I just thought it was so cool. And what you responded with, I thought was like very insightful as well. And so that's what pretty much made me think
Wow.
of it. You and I having a conversation about culture, me understanding what the song was rooted in, and just kind of shooting it to you.
So, Charles, um, I'll let you start with the video itself, please, and share some of how you interpreted and how it resonates for you.
I remember being at work and Russ had sent me the text and I looked at it and I said, okay, so I'm watching it. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay. But then once the morphing started to happen, I sat down. I
Yeah.
sat down to watch this video. Like I was standing up on my phone looking at it, but the minute the first
Yeah.
transition, I was sat down and said, "Oh, I gotta like thoroughly watch this."
Yeah.
And then the end,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the end is what took me. I swear I had chills.
Well, share for, people who know and don't know what you're talking about with morphine and the end.
So in the video, and what I'm gonna do is, because I love editing and
Yeah.
doing this stuff,
Yes.
the photos will be
Yes.
in this video. So
Legit,
um
legit.
so in the video, you see the first transition that he does, face morphing, which has been a new trend that is going on now in cinema. You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
they're doing this. I actually feel like they may do this in the next, if not this Fast Furious, I think the final one, I think they're gonna do that
Hmm.
with Paul Walker.
Yeah.
I
Don't
just
don't you think the perfection of this was on another level?
Oh yeah, it was on point. It
Yeah.
was on point the way it's just it he transitioned into, OJ.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first person he did, OJ. And then it went from OJ to then Kanye to then Jussie Smollett to Will, and then it's Kobe and then Nip. And watching that and then hearing the last few lines of the song where he's not rapping as himself, but he's
Mm-hmm.
rapping as if he has the spirit of Nip inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, this is what Nip will be telling y'all, telling his fans, his loved
Mm-hmm.
ones, all this.
Right.
And I like, once the video was over, I just was just sitting there, just gone.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to process this. What did I just see? You know, I went to one of my coworkers because he's a big Kendrick fan. I said, "Yo, did you see the video?" And he was like, "What video?" I said, "Here." And I pulled my phone. I said,
Right.
"You need to watch this video." And he's watching it, and he's like, "This is
Yeah.
wow!"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it was. I was blown away. Had chills. Just, I mean, when I listen to it now, when I just listen to the song,
Yeah.
I get chills.
Yes.
I especially when it gets to him, that last verse, when he's speaking on like Kobe's death and speaking on Nip's death,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
because in the culture, in the hip hop culture, those two deaths
Yeah.
were like the biggest impact on, like,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
for me, like for my generation. I know Big and Pac was like
Yeah. No. No.
there,
No.
but it didn't have that lasting impact as, like, for me. I can't speak for as far as Russ goes, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, Nip and Cole dying
Right.
Yeah.
hits harder to me than when Big and Pac died. That's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you're an
mean,
adult now, too.
yeah, but it's
You
also
know.
because, like, listening to Pac is in my top 5, but
Mm-hmm.
listening to Nip and just where he was going,
hmm
you know, and him being taken right before he can even get to that point of
right.
what we knew he was in store of doing. And the
Yeah.
same thing with Kobe, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
So, Russell, how about you?
Um, how can I say this? I'm gonna dive in and out of certain things because there's so much that I want to say, and I gotta pick the right time to say it so that I'm just not ranting on a tirade. So as far as the video, the video has a certain impact, and then the song has a certain impact. Staying on topic, I'm gonna talk about the video, but there's a certain point in time where I have to talk about the song. I have to let you know what it is, right?
Yeah.
So visually speaking, I'm just like Charles. I'm watching it. It's a red background. It's Kendrick performing. what are we about to get into? Like, you just spitting in front of the red background, or what's gonna happen? Is the background gonna transition? Because if you pay attention to Kendrick Lamar's visuals that he actually participated in after he became more famous, there's a theme, but there's also like a direct intention. That's the word I'm looking for. A direct intention to captivate the audience visually. Like, if you look at the video for All Right, if you look at the video for King Kunta, if you look at the video for like a lot of these records that he has, it's like really important. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, what am I really looking at? What am I supposed to be paying attention to? So that's how I came in looking at the video. Like, I'm supposed to see something. But once the deepfake technology came through, which is a technology I don't know if he invested in, but it's created by one of the creators of South Park. I don't know if it's Matt Stone or Trey Parker,
And
but
that's what that's called, what we're
it's
seeing.
called, when you're changing, when the morphing of the faces is deepfake technology in a cinema standpoint. And I agree with Charles wholeheartedly. This is going to be something that people implement, into movies, television shows, things of that nature, just to add depth to the story, or
Mhm.
bring, life to somebody who's not there, you know what I'm saying, embody their spirit. I thought it was amazing. You see the faces, so you're trying to match the lyrics with the faces at the same time, and it's only gonna really hit you in certain points, like the Will Smith deep fake face coinciding with the lyrics. It was easy to catch. You know what I'm saying? And of course the Nip uh lyrics coinciding with his face, but understanding that Kobe had passed too, just like Charles said, and it's also still Kendrick speaking. So it's like you're getting the element of three people, three spirits speaking, and the whole point of the song is, it's, to me it seems like it's addressing the culture. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where it comes from. It's like three people speaking in that last portion of the song, speaking to the culture. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Trying to give us comfort for the people that we lost, because the culture knows that it meant so much to us. Just like Charles said, it meant so much. Like, where are we going to get this comfort from? And
Mhm.
so, not trying to compare him to anybody or anything like that, but that's the beauty of hip hop, right? You can have a person that's so introspective and so thought provoking and so smart that can bring you a piece of art that looks like this. But then you can have a certain person that may make you feel a different way in the club, or get you pumped for a race to run, or do a different activity. So it's hard to say who's great and who's not. And that's why you
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to compare. But
Yeah.
I just thought the video was amazing. So when I watched it, like anything else I do, I just watched it again. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, all right, I can watch it again. So I'm gonna watch it again and see what I missed. And it was just amazing. And then of course you texting, 50 different people. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to
Mhm.
cuz about it. I'm talking about it with my wife. I'm texting a group chat because I didn't hit, 3, 4 different people with the link. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then
Yeah.
it's just spiraling. So
Yeah.
as far
Yeah.
as the visuals, I mean, I thought it was very, very creative, and I thought it was a simple way of, like, just just getting your point across, because the words are just so, like, deep.
Yeah. So I do want you guys to talk about the song, because for me, I'm meshing, when I give you my take, I'm meshing both of them
Okay.
together. So I want you guys to talk about the song and the
So
meaning, the message.
so this is what I want to know. Do you want to talk about your how you feel about the video, or you want us to get into the song? Because I kind of want to lay down a foundation of the song.
Well, for me, if I can't talk about the video without
Okay.
talking about the words of the song.
Charles,
So,
did you want to go first, or you want me to lay this foundation down real quick?
Well, I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what you were talking about as far as the visuals and how there's always like a message behind it.
Yeah.
And I was actually watching a video yesterday,
Hmm.
because I wanted to make sure, I was like, I wrote a paper in my communication and society class. We basically, it's a senior seminar class, and we had to do what's called media journals.
Okay.
So you basically find any form of media and write about it, write about
Oh, that's cool.
the impact, write about what, like, if there was any special effects, all this stuff to it. So I picked this one,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote about like just the impact and how it, resonated with the culture, with hip hop, because of the the people that he was representing.
Right.
But then I was watching a video yesterday kind of explaining it, and they were explaining how, the red background, the red represents the blood. He's
Right.
on the left side. That's where your heart is. Your heart's on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
Bandana is supposed to symbolize like the unity of these people.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he had 6 representations,
Mm-hmm.
and you think about, I think they said when you think about like a casket, there's six
Pallbearers.
Right.
pallbearers.
Uh-huh.
It's so much that they
Mm.
broke down in that,
Mhm.
little video.
Mhm.
So that's like kind of just piggybacking off of you when you talk about just how in depth like Kendrick is when it comes
Yeah.
to his
Exactly.
creative space and what
Yeah.
he does.
Exactly. Exactly. And it all ties in to not only the song, not only the video, but the artwork, because the artwork is 6 hands holding up the 5, right? And so the series is now a series because it's 5 hearts, like the heart. But
Mhm.
the top row, and I have to look at my notes, so I'm sorry, y'all. The top row is Will Smith, Kanye, and OJ's hand. The bottom row is Nipsey's hand, Jesse's hand, and Kobe's hand.
Mhm.
And so when you look at it, it's 5 different hands, 6 different hands holding up 5 fingers. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what the artwork is on a black background. You know what
Right.
I mean? So everything that he does when it comes to this is intentional. But if you're just listening to it from music, the talent is there just in the music. But if you want to go deeper, it's there. You know what I'm saying? So just to kind of give you a kind of like a synopsis for the audience, like the Heart is like a series, right? So the Heart Part 1 that debuted April 14th, 2010, and it used Most Def song Umi Says, the beat. So it was like, I don't know if you know that song on Adrian or not.
Mm-mm.
My
No.
Umi says, shine your light on the world.
That's one of my mom's
Shine your
favorite
light
songs.
for the world to see. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You should check the song out. It's dope. So that's kind of like how it starts off. And it's just it's got its own lyrics, its own message in what he's
Mhm.
doing, right? And then you got the Heart Part 2, which came out like 5 months later in the same year, like September 14th, 2010. And it used A Piece of Light by the Roots, another beat. And
Mhm.
that's a dope song, you know what I'm saying? And so in that, in 2017, they asked him about it, and he had a Rolling Stone quote,
Mhm.
and he said, I remember saying to myself, I just want to show a spew of emotion on a record. I don't care how long the bars are, but people are literally going to have to feel me. I told myself that if I
Mm.
connect in that way, then it ain't no point in me just putting out a bunch of good words together. So that spaz out towards the end where I just choke up and lose my breath, I want to keep all of that. Sorry for the ableist community. I'm just doing a direct quote with spaz out. Next. So the whole thing about that is, if you go listen to that song, there's a part in the song where he's in the studio rapping and he just speeds up. You know what I'm saying? It's not on
Yeah.
beat or anything, but he's just trying to get the words out. And so that's how you understand when you listen to the Heart, whether it's part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, there's an emotion that he's trying to evoke, as
Yes.
well as just
Yeah.
saying it, just rapping. It's not about the beat, it's about the emotion. It's
Yes.
about making you feel the song.
Mhm.
So the Heart Part 3 came out October 20th of 2012, and it used a sample of A Mother's Theme, Mama by Willie Hutch. And it's the only song in the Heart series that has features, which has Ab Soul and J Rock, which are part of TDE. But Schoolboy Q couldn't be on the track because he was actually on a tour. And so that's the only one where he has other people rapping, but it's still its own song and it has its own message. And they also evoke a certain type of emotion during that as well. Um, and before this one, probably the most popular one would be the Heart Part 4. And that used Poverty's Paradise by the 24 Karat Black, Kung Fu by Curtis Mayfield, and I Love You by Faith Evans. It had samples of all of those beats in that one beat throughout the transitions. And it seemed like he was talking to a particular rapper. People don't know if it was Drake. They don't know if it was Kanye. Could have been a mixture of both. Could have been somebody else. But there was a direct intention behind that. And then we get to the Hart Part 5. So, just speaking personally, the Hart Part 5 released on May 8th, 2022, right? May 8th is the
Mm-hmm.
birthday of my late grandmother, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's the person who introduced me to Marvin Gaye. This song
Mm-hmm.
is a sample of I Want You by Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
So her love for Marvin Gaye and my Aunt Cheryl's love for Marvin Gaye and my father's love for Marvin Gaye is what always made me like look at Marvin Gaye like I was supposed to.
And let me interrupt you one quick second. I
Yeah.
think Marvin Gaye, um, did he die on May 1st or he died on his birthday? So while you're talking, I'm gonna look it up.
I think his birthday was like April 2nd. I
Oh,
think.
that
I'm not
sounds
sure.
right. That sounds right. I'm gonna look it up. But I think
So
you're right.
it's crazy because my Aunt Cheryl, she's also a Pisces, and she was very like my grandma Ray. She loved, of course, she's a Taurus, and she loved Marvin Gaye. Her birthday's May 8th. That's the connection. She passed that on to her daughter, who's my Aunt Cheryl, who's a Pisces, and they say that music speaks to us in a different way. You know what I mean? And so she, had that same kind of influence of passing. Like I remember her having this box cassette set with Marvin Gaye, and it was like his portrait on the front of it, and then when you lift it up, it had like all of his tapes in there. And I want to say it's 14 because I
Mhm,
think that's how many he had, like 7 on each side. But
mhm.
either way, it was what it was. And so it was cool because anytime Marvin Gaye came on and I was around my dad would always tell me how Marvin Gaye had a show in Buffalo
Yep.
and
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
he canceled, like he didn't show up for the show. I don't know if he canceled because he didn't get paid or what.
Mhm.
Everybody was hot. So my
Yep.
dad ended up going to this club. And when he went to the club,
The
Marvin Gaye was
747 in Buffalo.
see, you would know. And so when he went to the club, he ended up chilling with Marvin, dapping him up. He was buying them drinks, and it was just like a way better experience
Yeah.
than you would have had going to the show. And not only that, it just showed how cool of a dude he was.
Yeah.
And my dad just always looked at Marvin Gaye in that way,
Yeah.
right? So then the song I Want You was released March 16th. Well, the album I Want You was released March 16th of 1967. And that's in Pisces season. So I always kind of feel like, this song, just that beat
Yes.
has some kind of connection to my spirit, to my soul, to my lineage. Like
Mhm.
it's deeper, just the song itself. And if you ever go like on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever you listen to music to, when you look at I Want You, it has different variations. It has a vocal one, it has a jazz, an instrumental, the regular single. And it's just like a beautiful song. It's a beautiful jam session. You know what I'm saying? They say that
Right.
album birthed many different genres because at the time that it came out, there was no neo soul. So they said it kind of gave way to a new way of neo soul, a way of R&B, a way of hip hop, a way of funk. It's just like crazy. So I say all of that just to give a whole background to how the song
Mhm.
itself makes me feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just the beat. That's not
Right.
even the words.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and I was wrong. You're right. You're right. He was born April 2nd, died April 1st.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's just it gets so deep. It's crazy. So when Kendrick picked that song, the most recent use of the sample that I can remember
Mhm.
is at the beginning of the Compton soundtrack, which was a Dr. Dre album that he put
Mhm.
out for Straight Outta Compton. And so
Mhm.
when you listen to the beginning, it's like the city of Los Angeles. And side note, Marvin's Room was in Los Angeles where he recorded the album. So I know why it has such a West Coast feel and a West Coast connection. It's almost like a soundtrack to LA. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it speaks to the beauty, the pain, the struggle, and all of that all in one. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because it's such a
Yeah.
beautiful song, but it can make you feel sad or hurt, but it can also uplift you in the same moment. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And the instrumentation behind it is so amazing. But anyway, I just say all that to say, like, when I heard it, it already had my ears going. I'm watching the
Mhm.
video, but I'm hearing it. You
Right.
get what I'm saying? I'm listening.
Yeah.
And so the minute Kendrick just started to get in his lyrics and his verse, I could feel where it was going more so
Right.
than I could hear it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
You know,
So
when I went to listen to the video or to watch the video, as soon as he went into after that very first part, that introduction, I
Right.
paused it. When he shifted, I paused it and I was like, oh no, I gotta go I gotta go read the lyrics. I gotta read lyrics. I can't I went and I just paused it and I read all the lyrics. And so in the very beginning, I was feeling, before I paused it, I was feeling, Marvin Gaye sensibilities,
Right.
immediately. And then I read it. And when the part in the song where he's saying, I want you, and I want you to want me too. That resonated right away for me because I used to feel that way about New York, because New York was so challenging, it was so expensive. Although I lived in a great location, but I used to say, I mean, I have a journal where I wrote in the journal, I love New York, but New York doesn't love me. I will say that changed, but
That's cool though.
to take us into, I'm just going to go a little bit into the message of the song and then let you guys talk more about it, and then I'll come back.
Okay.
But first of all, the words that you see at the beginning of the song, I am all of us.
Right.
I am period, and then all of us period.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I knew that was something spiritual.
Right.
And I'm immediately feeling we are one. I am that I am,
Right.
which is very powerful for me. And so I went and I just put those words in Google, and I found that it relates. Well, the after you see those words and it says, you see OK, LAMA. And so that came up in Google, and that it relates to Native Americans. And it's, I'm not going to pronounce this right. It says Choctaw, CHOCKTAW. I can't read my writing, so I may be spelling that wrong.
Hey, yo, it's all good.
But anyway, the translation, it said that is used when a poet or a prophet is addressing God's people on God's behalf. And so I am refers to the will of God. And all of us we are one.
Right.
In my view.
Right.
Something that really struck me, and I spent some time when I was watching the video today, when he was morphing into the different faces, and everybody struck me, especially the end, which we'll get to later. We'll get to Kobe and Nipsey later. But when he got to Will, I was like, damn. So first of all, the eyes were penetrating. And oh my God, I have to go to the part of the song, because there's a part in a song. Oh, he says in the song, look what I've done for you. And that resonated for me, because when I'm listening to all these different podcasts, whether it's comedy, whether it's a hip hop podcast, and they come to the topic of the Oscars and Will Smith, a lot of the times they have a lot of respect, especially when they bashing Jada. They have a lot of respect for Will Smith and all that he did with his career, and, I just felt like that related to, the man has accomplished so much, and wait a minute.
I'm chilling, yo. It's your show. Hey, listen. We're going to get to it, though.
But anyway, yeah. But whether you agree with that or not, let me just say what else I noticed, okay?
Yeah.
I heard, it's not in the lyrics, but I kept listening over and over again. And this is what I hear him saying, I want a hug. I hear him saying that. Kendrick, right?
Right.
As he's holding his shoulders.
Right.
And he's like, I want a hug.
Right.
And then I checked the time of how long he's on Will, and other than Nipsey, he was on OJ for about 10 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
and Jussie for about 15, and Kanye for about 10, and Will was about 30 seconds. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was purposeful
It
and
was.
powerful, and to show the pain, to
Mm-hmm.
show Will's pain, and those penetrating eyes. It was just, I thought it was deep.
That's dope.
I thought it was super deep.
It was.
I'm gonna
It's
stop there for now.
it's interesting
Hmm.
because art is subjective, and
Right.
we can all agree that this is a piece of art, right?
Yes. Yes.
So when you say, "Look what I've done for you," right?
Yeah.
It's so
Mm.
cool that you look at it that way, because
Hmm.
what he's really saying, in my opinion,
Hmm.
is he's saying, "I want the hood to love me. Look what I've done for you."
I think that too.
People do hood shit to try to get love, right? It's like we do harm to ourselves. That's where the condemning of the song is on our culture. We'll do harmful things to ourselves just to get hood love. And hood love is something totally different. Hood love goes back to what I was
Hmm.
saying in the beginning of the podcast, when you were saying you couldn't really get into hip hop because of the misogyny and the killing of black men, black on
Hmm.
black crime and things of that
Hmm.
nature.
Hmm.
That is the drastic part of like our whole existence. And it's he says something in the song that relates to that. But the main part about it is, it's like, as much love and admiration and respect and lessons that you get taught in the hood, you get taught a bunch of bad habits
Right.
and horrible things, and there's demons that are covered up, and there's
Right. Right.
exceptions that we allow that we shouldn't allow, and there's things that we do for gratification that are to
Right.
our own detriment. And so I think in that moment, it is this is Will Smith, because what he's doing is putting Will Smith's face in there is trying to say to the community to show him grace, right?
Yeah.
So you're right, but also saying, look, the mistake that I made was what y'all created. Y'all made me go up here and smack this man because I'm trying to do something to show
Oh,
y'all
okay.
I'm y'all. I'm with you. Wouldn't you
Mhm.
get up there and smack that man too? And it's like,
Mm.
nah, the hood's like, nah.
Oh,
You get what I'm
I thought
saying?
you were
You
saying
never
something
know
different.
with the hood. You never know
Okay.
if it's gonna be good or bad. Like, you could do something that you think is a great idea, and the hood will
Yep.
flame you for that shit. Or you could do something that you think is like stupid, and the hood is like, no, 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 man, that's admirable. Like, you just don't know. You got to navigate this shit in a totally different way.
And I
So
thought
that's
you
my
were
whole thing.
saying that when he says, Will is saying, look what I've done for you, meaning that, when one person is lifted up, everyone is lifted up. So that's what I thought you were saying, but that's not what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying, because it's so
Mhm.
funny. You just said it. You said when Will said it. Will ain't say it. Kendrick said it, but he said
But
it
I
with Will's face. No, no, no.
right.
Check it out. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
He said it with Kendrick's face. So that's how I look at this song. Is when he puts the face on, it's still his words. And so he's speaking as multiple people. He's speaking as
Right.
an omniscient being,
Hmm.
as you so eloquently stated beforehand.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, that's it. It ain't just
Yeah.
Will. You know what I mean? It's a lot of double entendres, triple
Right.
entendres, double meanings, triple meanings
And I
throughout
felt that
everything.
towards the end. And I also, there's this line, um, he says, and I wrote it down, and I'm trying to see if I could see it on the lyrics that I have all up on my phone. Oh, he says, this is after he's talking about car wash is played out,
Mm-hmm.
new GoFundMe accounts will proceed. And he says, a brand new victim will shatter those dreams, the culture. And I really want to know if that line meant anything to me, because victim to me also meant the perpetrator. Like, to me, the
Right.
perpetrator is a victim.
Right.
And so that just really touched me.
Yeah. It's when the whole purpose to me, and I'll just go ahead and click on this real quick. The whole purpose of the hook or the chorus is like, I want you, I want, but I want you to want me too. I want the hood to want me back. I want the hood. Look what I've done for you. Look what I've done for you. It's all playing into how we're like our own worst enemy at times. He's trying to show you a mirror of like, look, we're all one, right? So no different than the victim could be the person that's actually affected. You're right. The victim could be the person that did something to someone, or the victim could be the person who committed whatever actions. Like Will Smith, he smacked Chris Rock. He's a victim too. You get what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
You know what I mean? So I agree with you on that one.
What do you think, Charles?
Well, as you, the minute you got on Will, because this is a ongoing conversation that has been amongst the three of us in our group chat.
Yeah.
Where, me and you, Adrian, we kind of sympathize with Will. Russ, you are like, nah.
Nah,
I
don't want to
he was
interrupt
right
you.
or he should have done it. I just think he deserves some grace.
The people need to know my mentality so they can understand. And I'm
Want
gonna
me
give
to
it right
tell
back
him?
to you.
Want me to tell him?
You got it? You know it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can nobody hit you for free?
Oh yeah. Well, first off, that's my personal way. That's definitely it, right? That just signifies whether or not we gonna fight, and you already know you can't hit me for free. All right, but my whole mentality behind the whole thing is another hip hop great, Rick Ross. Debatable, depends on how you feel, but I mean he's been in the game for a long time. Had an album, and what that album said is how I do feel in life. God forgives, I don't. I ain't gotta forgive nobody. That's for y'all. You do something to me, I ain't gotta forgive you.
Oh my God, you sound exactly like your dad. Exactly.
My fault, Charles. I ain't mean to interrupt, but I just want the people to understand. That's my take on it.
Listen. Within these past years of like us getting closer, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. That's why, like, I always tell people, like, I know that if I went to you with a problem, I already know how you're gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But speaking on the whole that part, like the will part, I mean, it's debatable as far as like where he's coming from. I feel those of Will has always, in a sense, wanted that acceptance from the culture. He's even talked about it in his book, where he's basically has stated, he was always looked at as not being too hip hop, not being too hood, street, whatever terminology you want to use, so I think like the one part that got me was, towards the end of the second, verse where he says, in a land where hurt people hurt more people, calling it the culture.
Definitely.
That's when that part came up, that was me thinking that like, if this is Will, that's Will's mentality where he's like, we all know about the history with Will. We all know about the jokes, the entanglement, how people are looking at Jada like, Jada, you done broke Will, all types of stuff. And that's that line where it is where hurt people, and then is Will not saying that he's thinking this, but as we're saying, it's the interpretation is Will being like, basically saying fuck the culture because y'all won't accept me for me. So what I had to do is I had to I had to become something that I was not, even though he's from Philly, he has this mentality, but he never wanted to utilize that.
Yeah.
He kind of wanted to get his way out of that lane, and it's the same thing in a sense going on a tangent, how people looked at Kobe.
Yep.
You know, you look at Kobe, Kobe was never looked at as being hip hop.
Spot on.
It was Allen Iverson. And I even look at it even today, you know, people love Melo, love, you know, the John Walls and all them, but you bash LeBron because LeBron is like just polished, if you want to say that. You know, never had any type of baggage, never had any type of history or anything like that. You know, so it's kind of like it's that underlining argument or debate that really, in a sense, is what tears this, what we call hip hop, what we call culture, apart. Right. Because there is two sides. It's like, you know, you got the Will Smith side, you got the Will Smith of people, and then you got the Tupac of people.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm using Tupac reference because everybody was saying that,
I know exactly.
You know, Jada was in love with Tupac so much that the hidden joke was, oh, Pac wouldn't have allowed Chris Rock to say all this stuff about me. You know,
so say more about Kobe in the sense of he was not a part of hip hop, because he is a big part of the culture. And then, you know, Kobe was huge for me because I'm a huge Laker fan.
We are.
So right. This is true. But you know, you said earlier you were talking about the big impact of Kobe and Nipsey, you know, and the loss of them. And then you just made the point that you made. And so just for clarity, I mean, I see what you mean, but I still also want you to say more, you know, for more clarity when you say that Kobe was not a part of hip hop.
Okay. I'm just going to call it how I see it. Society and people did not appreciate Kobe until he died.
Yeah, at least that, or on the back half.
Yeah.
As a person. Can I interject? I don't even want to ruin what you're saying. Because I think where the miscommunication is not that Charles isn't saying that he isn't hip hop, right? Like he's not saying Will isn't hip hop. Like Will was one of the first rappers, right? He brought hip hop to the main stage. Kobe had a rap, like he rapped. You know what I'm saying? It's not that part of hip hop. It's the part of the hood black culture where he wasn't accepted.
Okay.
So like I said, like when I bring up Allen Iverson, you look at Allen Iverson, you see hip hop, like you see the stereotypical look of hip hop,
right?
Which he created.
Yeah, cornrows, braid, like cornrows, tattoos, ridiculous jewelry, you know, just this aura, this presence about him. You know, I mean, hell, they, you know, however you want to look at it, they came up with a dress code because of Allen Iverson.
Right.
You know, even though I think it's more so of the palace, but that's here nor there. But you look at what Allen Iverson did, and then you look at what Kobe never was. I don't think Kobe didn't get a tattoo till after Colorado.
Yeah.
After the incident in Colorado, he didn't even have a tattoo on him. You know, then you see that.
So no, I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole, but this is bringing me back to, you know, when Kobe died. What'd you say?
I was like, no, you just like, but Kobe, no, hold on.
Well, so I remember when, you know, I'll be talking to Russ about how, you know, Kobe would get bashed, you know, about, you know, with the Lakers when they weren't doing well. Nobody wanted to go to the Lakers, you know, and all this because of Kobe. And so when he died, there was so much pain. You know, there was so much pain in your generation. I felt pain, you know, because I love Kobe.
Right.
Right. But I was confused about that pain. And I mean, that pain was palpable,
I I
It's
So,
the
think it
hood.
huh?
I think it was because, what happened, and this goes into, even Kobe talked about it on the Muse. He made reference to, he had to change his way of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
He
Oh,
had to change that
right.
mentality and had to trust in his teammates, because that was one of the biggest things that people was like, Kobe didn't trust his teammates. Kobe would be like,
Right.
the hell with y'all. I'm shooting, like, I'm scoring. Y'all can't go. But
Right.
that was because Kobe's work ethic was so, like, intense. Like, I'm not gonna say Jordan like,
Know
Hmm.
what
but
you mean?
it was that intense where it was like, if you're not working the same way,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
which is where the Mamba mentality came from.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not working having that same mentality, you can't share the court with me.
Right.
And I think that once he started to see the light at the end of the tunnel as far as his basketball career,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Russ has spoke about this a lot. I remember when we talked about it on a few pods,
Mm-hmm.
but just how Kobe became more human.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He became more of like, oh, so you're not an asshole,
Exactly.
you know,
Hmm.
and that's when people started to see that. And then on top of that, you're seeing the relationship with Kobe and Gianna on full
Right.
display,
Right.
Right.
and then that generated with a lot of, like, our generation, because we're actually seeing a
Hmm.
father in the NBA
Yeah.
really invest in his child like Kobe did,
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
you know.
Um, okay. Well, thank you for that. I wanna say something about Jesse because when he went to him, which was interesting that he even thought to put him in there, that was important
You gotta put them in there.
for
You do. I mean, for various different purposes. I mean, the man did refer to himself as the gay Tupac. So
Ah,
well, there was a line that says, "The streets got me fucked up. Y'all can miss me. I want to represent for us," which I thought that spoke to him.
because he said
He
that.
wanted to be something that he wasn't.
He said
right.
And
that he said that when in court, like when
Yeah.
he was giving his speech, he said that he wants to represent for us,
Right.
mhm.
you
So
know.
why do you say, Russ, he had to be in there?
Well, the thing about it is, to me, the whole purpose of, like, again, the video and the song is to speak to the Black culture from many different views, an omniscient perspective. So when you're trying to explain something, you got to give the good and the bad. But the whole reason why you give a OJ, what I'm saying, as polarizing as OJ is, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
kind of like, don't forget, this is still you. This is still you. That you could another Black person could go down the same path. Don't forget,
Right,
Jussie is
right.
still you. For all that criticism you got of Kanye, that's still you. All the
Yeah,
criticism you got of Will Smith, that's still you. You know what I mean? And then when you get to Kobe and Nip, it's the same situation. It's still you, but it's also, I'm gonna address the pain of these legends. You get what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah,
So it
yeah.
takes you through it, but you got to put that in there because, to me, you got to have the type of representation and everything that went around with Jesse, right? The
Right,
whole
right.
world was behind Jesse in the beginning when they halfway believed it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then it was like, oh man, you lied. That's hood shit. That's hood shit. Everybody knows
Yeah,
the person that you
yeah,
riding for that did something, and then the next thing you know, it's like, oh man, you lied. All right, man, never mind. Like, I ain't even
yeah,
fooling with you no more. And then it's like, hey, wait a minute, that person is a person. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. So
Yes.
I want you to get into, like the nitty-gritty of the song because for me, um, I read it at first and then it just got even, more so. I was telling Russell, I read it at first as, two different parts.
Yeah.
One part was, the hood life, and
Hmm.
everything that comes with it. which was very, very powerful. And then I read it as, the perspective from heaven, reflecting and, you're going to have a different perspective. If you believe in life after, this form, you're going to have a more true perspective. And so that was, so that from Kobe and Nipsey, which I knew it was Nipsey looking at the video, not from reading it. But then Russell, explained that his brother's name is Sam, right?
Black Sam.
And so, yeah. So, I just thought that was really, 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 really something.
Yeah, it was deep. Before I get to that part, I just want to get to one like major interpolation that was used in the song that's like super crucial to hip hop. So like on the OJ part, you know what I'm saying? He was like, I do this for my culture to let y'all know what a nigga look like in a bulletproof Rover. That's Kendrick, right? So saying I do this for my culture to let y'all know what a nigga look like in a bulletproof Rover is a direct interpolation of Jay-Z on Izzo, which is a common line that we all know. And he says, I do this for my culture to let them know what a nigga look like when a nigga in a roadster. And so the difference in that is when Jay-Z's saying it, he's speaking to everybody who doesn't understand the level of success that he's trying to reach, right? It's like, I bought this car for y'all so that y'all can aspire to be like me. You can aspire to have success. You can do this. You can get in this. Like the car is called a Maybach, but everybody calls it a Maybach because Jay-Z was the first one to say Maybach. That's the influence of hip hop, right? And so when people saw him in the Maybach Roadster, it was like, oh man, I want to get me a Maybach. I want to get me a Maybach. And the whole time, if you in the car culture, you like, but that shit's called a Maybach. Well, niggas gonna call it what they call it. You got to call it a Maybach now, hip hop, right? What Kendrick is saying when he says, I do this for my culture to let you know what a nigga look like in a bulletproof Rover, it's a different type of thing, right? He's trying to show you that even though I'm riding in class, it's still dangerous out here. The times are different. You can't flash and be the same. The vultures are out, the wolves are out, everyone's out right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to approach things in a different way. And that speaks directly to how culture is. You know what I'm saying? Like hip hop culture and hood culture, they're very intertwined. But like I was saying when Charles was speaking earlier about Kobe, it's not that hip hop ain't love him, because they did, but they didn't. But it was more so the hood didn't love him. You know what I'm saying? The hood didn't have a respect for him that they're supposed to have. And it's different because the same hood dude that'll call Kobe corny or whatever is the same dude that's dripped from head to toe in Lakers gear and like, get him Kobe. The same dude that's calling Will Smith corny and everything can rap the theme song to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air word for word. It's a crazy juxtaposition with this hip hop and hood stuff. And so when you always talk about how culture is to you and what it means to you and what is this thing, it's so abstract. You just got to ride the wave. It's not really a direct answer. You know what I mean? And there's no real rhyme or reason to why things are the way they are. You can kind of predict some things, but there's never really a definition like that you could give or a playbook that you could give to make people mess with something. Like it's no different than like what he was saying with Allen Iverson. His influence was so strong. When I said he started it, it wasn't the fact that he was the first person to ever do it. He's the one that popularized it. It's no different than the love that Mike Vick gets. You know what I'm saying? It's certain people that just get love. Like, you know what I mean? You just get love from the hood in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And as you're talking, which is a whole different podcast, I'm thinking about Mike Tyson, but that's another story, and we'll have to do that in another podcast.
Hey man, that's Mike Tyson, man. Y'all can't talk about Mike, man.
Well, you wanted to bring that up first before you went into the heaven part, right?
Yeah, so I mean, to me, more so than anything, when you and I talked, I kind of felt like that was a way of looking at it that I didn't look at it. Like I knew he was speaking from the form of Nip, you know what I mean, in the afterlife, trying to give us some comfort. But I never really think about people speaking from the perspective of after death in that way. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I understood it for what it was. Like, oh, this is just him speaking as Nip. But the way you viewed it, or the way you interpreted it, can't even say it, interpreted it, it was it felt more spiritual. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, because from the line of celebrate new life when it come back around, to
Mm-hmm.
me, you're somewhere else,
Right.
it's a
Right.
rebirth. And in everything after that is a reflection, it's a reflection of not
Right.
only, the way things were, what I did, but also where I am,
Mm-hmm.
where he does say, Nips is saying I'm in heaven down, down lower,
Right.
towards the end. But, there were some things I was feeling with Kobe
Mm-hmm.
where he says, and I felt this could be true for both of them.
It
I
was.
wasn't perfect. The skin I was in had truly suffered temptation and patience, everything that the body nurtures. I felt the good, I felt the bad, and I felt the worry. But
Mm-hmm.
all in all, my productivity had stayed urgent. Face your fears. I always knew that I would make it here where the energy is magnified and persevered.
Mm-hmm.
Consciousness is synchronized and crystal clear. Euphoria is glorified and made is reflecting on my life and what I've done. I'm gonna stop there, but
Okay.
it was just, I mean, it was just, that's just a lot. I see Kobe
Yeah.
in that, and I can also see Nipsey in that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's I mean that's that is something that like Kobe would say, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I know that's something that they're saying like schools are starting to try to implement the Mamba mentality, like
Mm-hmm.
books and the schools and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
you could tell that like the impact that he's left on the world is being put out there, you
Hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like I said, like when he transitioned into the when he morphed into the Kobe face, I'm listening to him from the perspective of Kobe. It was eerie. It was that
Yeah.
for me. It's just that eeriness, and then it's just for me, it's just to once again go into the like just that thought of like he's gone.
Yeah.
Then you get into the Nip part, and Nip was more like we said. Nip is more of the letting us know he's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Even
Hmm.
even in the line where he's referring to the man who killed them.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he said, "And to the killer that sped up my demise, I forgive you. Just know your soul is questioned." You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like when I heard that, and then I'm thinking of what this man is going through right now,
Mm-hmm.
or what he was going through prior to him being found guilty.
Right.
You know, and how we've heard stories. I mean, I don't know if you've heard Adrian, but there's stories that's been out here about how he's not surviving in the jail.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Like
Hmm.
they are
Yeah.
punishing him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not just and that's crazy that it's not just the inmates.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Right.
guards are doing this too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it goes to show you that like what you did, and even when Nips and even when Kendrick was saying like he's seen the pain in his eyes
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
as speaking from Nip,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and knowing how what happened at that moment. And it makes me think of the Lil Boosie interview when
Mm-hmm.
Boosie was talking to Vlad, and Boosie was like, he had to have some pain in his heart because
Yeah.
after he shot him, he kicked him. He's like,
Yeah.
you don't do that.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
somebody that is hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's someone that's not in the right space.
Right.
But just to see that, and then I remember when I watched it, one of the first people I thought about was Lauren. I was just like,
Yeah.
what does she have to say about this? Because, you know, seeing something like this, you don't know how that person's gonna feel. Like, I don't think Vanessa Bryant has even talked about this video.
Right.
But I know Laura London had posted, I think it was a screenshot of him as Nip and was just like powerful or something like that, just showing that, she
Appreciate it.
appreciates,
Hmm.
this gesture.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I that line, I forgive you, just know your soul's in question. Uh, and I take that for me as, it's in question unless he does something about his soul, unless his soul heals. Like you said, you're not right. You're doing, you're in pain. When I say right, not right, I mean, you're not in your right mind. You're in pain. And to do something, that extreme, your soul's in question unless you allow yourself to heal, or, you find a way to heal your soul. That's the way I took it. I know
Hmm.
that's not what you just said, but I
well,
was just saying the way I.
Russ, is it Wild Bill?
Cowboy.
Cowboy Bill. Cowboy Bill has spoke about how, because he was there when it happened, and he said that he saw his look, like he's seen his look, and he said that he didn't, something was wrong with him, something was off with him,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, and he said like had he been, because he went into the store, he's like
Hmm.
had he been still out there with Nip, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So it does make you think about that. When he said, his soul's in question, I do agree with you, Adrian, that it is like he has to come with peace with himself before, anything
Mhm.
like that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys how you interpret a line earlier in the story. So used to writing stories. Um, how did it's up in the up near the top
Okay.
as the second verse.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Where it says, make the wrong turn, be it will or the wheel alignment. I understand
Hmm.
that. This line, residue burned, mist of the inner city. I like that. And
Hmm.
what is that? Mist of the inner city, residue burned, mist of the inner city. How do you read that?
Hold on. Let me get to, because I want to see it before I just really say it. Okay. Yeah, it's in the first verse. All right. So, like, first off, you can't like dismiss the make the wrong turn, be it will or the will alignment.
Right.
It's like,
I
it's
get
a
that.
double entendre, right? And
Hmm.
then when it says residue burn, mist of the inner city, it's no different than anything in the hood. Like the hood has its own, to me, the hood
Hmm.
has its own feel, its own smell, and everything that happens into it
Hmm.
is a contribution of all the decisions that are made in the hood. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if you hit a certain block, it could be weed smoke. If you hit another block, it could be incense. It could be,
Hmm.
the smell of
Right.
people who drinking liquor. It could be the smell of fried chicken. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the decisions that you make add to the essence of the city.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
kind of like how I take it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
so it could
agree.
be that good decision, that bad decision, whatever you do is going to contribute to this hood. It's going to contribute to your environment. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what were you going to say, Russ, earlier? You wanted to put a pin in it when I mentioned hip hop and evolving. Like there's an aspect beyond that
So I mean,
transcends generations.
the main thing about it is the way I think people used to look at hip hop. It was a gradual progression that affected my generation because we were kids, right? So it wasn't created by us. It was like given to us to kind of like take and propel to this different level, right? And so what you had to understand was like, to me, the beginning of hip hop were stories about what we were going through as a people. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And so when you tell those stories, it's no different than when you podcast, right? You
Hmm.
tell stories that are good, you tell stories that are hard. And if you were to tell your truth anonymously, you know what I mean? It could probably get really dark, right?
Right.
like about your feelings, about decisions you made, things you've done, how you felt when you did those particular things. But hip hop has a face, even if it's a face of a character that's telling a story of somebody else, they're still telling it in a way that makes you evoke some kind of emotion. You know what I'm saying? So it's like no different than some people, they rap, and that's fine. Like nobody has a problem with rap. And then some people create art. You know what I mean? I
Right.
view Jay-Z as a better artist than I do a rapper, right? But that's just my personal opinion. It's not anything to like really debate.
Hmm.
I view the Wu-Tang Clan as teachers. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
wasn't from New York, but you couldn't tell me that I didn't know things about Staten Island and Park Hill and places that I've never been before. Mathematics, the five percenters, all of these different things that weren't directly in my area, I learned from the Wu. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And so you get all of these different things. And as a kid, you watch everything like through a different type of eye. Like I always say, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player to me because I viewed him with child's eyes. Like I didn't view him like I view LeBron. Like I'm a man. I love LeBron. I think in a lot of ways LeBron's better than Mike. I understand why somebody would say Kobe's better than Mike because as time progresses, things just change. But what you see as a child actually makes you who you are, good, bad, or indifferent. And
Hmm.
it's up to you as an adult to kind of correct the things that are bad. But the things that you view are good is what sticks to you.
Right.
And that's kind of like how hip hop was. That's why, people like Charles and I were able to see what it was before it was what it was, because it was us. It made
Right.
us.
Right. Right. Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just look at it that way. Like a lot of times you may look at something as hip hop and it's not necessarily hip hop, it's hood. You know what I'm saying? It could
Hmm.
be hip hop, but it also could be black. You know what I mean? And
Right.
vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's why you get caught in these situations where people look like they're appropriating the culture because they don't know what part of the culture something came from.
Right. Right. Right.
Like you
Right.
can't get cornrows and call it boxer braids or Bo Derricks, as a black woman. And like, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? It's the truth, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But
Yeah.
those girls picked it up from hip hop. You know
Right.
what I mean? They ain't
Yeah.
pick it up from nowhere else. Like
Hmm.
they saw somebody in the video, whether it was Nelly Shake Your Tail Feather and girls got cornrows and they dancing a certain way or what. You don't know where
Hmm.
these girls got it from.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? That's no different than the Kardashians, right? How you get from a point in time where your father's Armenian and your mother's of Caucasian descent and your entire lineage outside of Courtney is of ethnicity, like
Right.
Kanye and,
Yeah.
and Kim, 4 black children.
Hmm.
Kylie, 2 black children with Travis Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Chloe, now 2 black children with Tristan Thompson. So this whole empire that they've created that sometimes black people get mad at or say they're taking from the culture, they never really even look at how much they're contributing to the culture because these people are heirs of this great empire, are people of color. Kim
Hmm.
Kardashian is raising black children.
Hmm.
Kylie Jenner is raising black children.
Right. Right.
Like
Right. Right.
Chloe is like, you
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just like Obama's mom raised a president.
Right,
Hmm.
right. So
Yeah.
it's like, they had this whole thing about the tanning of America, and it's a theory that I subscribe to, that kind of connects to what you're talking about spiritually. You say we're all one, right? And
Right.
I always say that things will get better as a society when we all look the same because we've all blended and traveled lands, and it's going to be more of a continuous look that's going to
Hmm.
be predominant, and it's not going to be white and it's not going to be extremely dark. You get what I'm
Hmm.
Right.
saying? It's going to
Hmm.
be somewhere in between with different textures, colors, hairs. And so the culture that we create is the culture that we're going to have. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We're
Yeah.
not running around saying, "Oh, I'm of Mayan descent. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
I'm of King Tut." Like,
Yeah.
nah, we don't do that anymore. But that
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
culture. That was a
Right.
predominant culture. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? So it
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. And when you say that, though, it kind of makes me sad because I believe in celebrating different cultures, and it sort of makes me sad that we would have to get to that, what you just described, in order for us to have some awareness, a greater awareness that we are all connected and we're all one. I mean, to me,
Well,
we should be able to see that now.
well,
What were you going to say, Charles?
I still feel though as if like, we can still celebrate different cultures, you know, because
Definitely.
once you start blending cultures together, you know, it's okay, we're gonna practice
Diminish.
this and then practice this and kind of bring it together, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So
I mean, I agree with that. I think, but at the same time, we lose something on both sides. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I think everybody loses something, but that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're creating your own thing. You know
right.
what I mean? It just depends on how you look at it.
Mm.
Like, what you mean? Why you say,
Well, I
hmm?
mean, I just feel the way what I just said. Like, I don't want to forget. I don't want Black culture, African American culture, African culture to be forgotten because we're blending together any more than I want any other culture to be that I'm not a part of to be forgotten.
Well, when I say that, and I mean this in the utmost respectful way possible, Black culture can never die because when two people procreate, if one person is of color, that becomes the dominant gene scientifically,
Hmm.
right? Like you can't have a Caucasian person mate with a Black person and that baby just comes out straight white.
Right.
So you don't lose that aspect of who we are. We're people of color. So the things that are we're people of the sun. You know what I'm saying? We
Hmm.
need the sun, we need the earth, we need certain things around us to feed us as a people. We
Hmm.
understand that as Black people.
Hmm.
But when you procreate with somebody, that child still needs that. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying white people don't like the sun or don't like the water. That's not where I'm
Right.
going with it. I'm going back to, you know, ties to the motherland and who we are as a people, which
Right.
goes
Right.
back to when we say hip hop runs this, that's our culture. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You look
Yeah.
at these concerts, it ain't full of Black people out there screaming those lyrics. You look
Yeah.
at a Kendrick
Yeah.
Lamar concert,
Right.
that thing is in London,
Hmm.
full of white folks,
Yeah.
loving the music, respecting the craft because it's inclusive, not exclusive. So you're not going to lose that part of your art,
Yeah.
respectfully.
I love this. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we shift? Because we can always do another podcast too. I'm sure
Oh yeah, I
I'm gonna
mean,
be badgering you about it.
nah.
I strongly feel though as if, and I've been saying this for God knows how long, that this might just be like the pilot episode
He
for
said,
the
"This
three
it."
of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it.
But
So,
definitely.
one thing I did want to touch on uh
Mhm.
was I when I was watching the video about like the breakdown of it, the
Uh-huh.
person was, you know, brought up an interesting point, which
Mhm.
is how even Kendrick, to a degree, is looking for acceptance from the culture,
We all are.
you know. But it's just it's weird because I wouldn't take it that he would be like wanting that acceptance,
Yeah.
seeming though as if like he's already like I don't think there's a person in the culture that is not a fan of him just because of his how his music like he's from Compton, but I can listen to his music and be like relating to like what he's talking about.
mhm.
So, all right, I'll look at it this way, just from a strict musical perspective.
Hmm.
I think to a certain degree, we all look for acceptance. You know, how hard we strive for it or whatever is unique to your own personality, but we genuinely as people just want to be accepted, you know? So for Kendrick, I think what the difference is, he doesn't get the love that he feels like he should get from a popular standpoint or how much he puts into the art and puts into the craft because hip hop isn't respected in the same way that it was, say, 20 years ago, right? Like, I think Kendrick Lamar probably would have been the biggest artist out unequivocally 20 years ago. In this day and age, there's so many different things that play into that. And because you said Compton, it sparked something in my eye, like in my mind. Serena Williams, right? For everything that she is as a legendary athlete, she doesn't get the true acceptance and love and admiration and respect that she should for what she's done,
Right.
right? Which goes back to look what I've done for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a you're gonna miss me when I'm gone approach. I think no matter what level you're on now in society, because we're in such a microwave society, I think a lot of people go through that. So I kind of see that as being a part of it for him and a part of the reason why he's showing us what he sees as an artist. It's like, I ain't made an album in 5 years. I'm looking at all this bullshit. All right, how can I break it down to these people so they can understand what the fuck I'm talking about? Oh, okay. I'm gonna do this, and this. How can I make this resonate with them visually? Okay, I'm gonna do this video, red background. Simple. You can't you're gonna have to look at my face, right? Because if it's a lot of things going on, we're not gonna look at his face. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You can come out of different in a multitude of ways and we're not going to pay attention. But if you just give us a solid color background, now we got to pay attention to what's going on, right? So at the end of the day, I kind of look at it as just like it's a mirror, it's coming from multiple views, and it can relate to all of us, no matter how big you are, how small you are. Like we got our first black president, we thought it was going to be something different than what it was. And even I, at the time, was critical of who he was as a president, not who he was as a symbol. You know what I mean? But to Barack, if I were to tell him that at that time, he'd look at me like, bro, you don't even know the half of it.
Right.
Mhm.
But now, understanding that I got just a little bit more responsibility at work, I'm not even running the damn country. I could only imagine what that man goes through. You get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just dope.
Um, that what you're saying, and then going back to what you said earlier about Kendrick wanting to evoke emotion,
Yeah.
Charles.
Mhm.
Um, that is so. I think that is. I wonder if that is like the overriding um, thing that is most important to him, because what going off of what it evoked in me, that is to me. First of all, he's a spiritual person,
Right.
and that is what you want. It's almost like, I wonder, does he want to shake people, because
Yeah.
how can we move, how can we grow, how can we evolve unless we're like shaken out of our the state that we're in,
Right.
whether it's in the hood or whether it's somebody else, just of another culture, just living their life, but not really caring about the things that are important going on in this world. You have to evoke emotion.
Yeah.
And so it's just incredible to me, and fascinating that he has done that so effectively. I mean, just to be able to pull off what you intend to in that way. I mean, that's awesome.
Well, I just to go back to the song, at the end of the song, in the third verse at the end, it says, "Our foundation was trained to accept whatever follows, dehumanize, insensitive, scrutinize the way we live for you and I. All right. Enemy shook my hand. I can compromise. I'll meet you in the land where no equal is your equal. Never say I ain't told you. Nah, in the land where hurt people hurt more people. Fuck calling it culture." Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's saying that is the shake that you're talking about. Like if
Yes.
you want somebody to feel something, I'm
Yep.
trying to tell you, like from the inception of how we got to this country, the shit was all fucked up.
Yes.
And
Yep.
it took our whole foundation and restructured it. And now we got to retrain ourselves as a society to get back to the royalty that we were before.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Kendrick Lamar is rumored to be a black Israelite. I've never heard him say that. I'm not going to sit up here and try to even characterize what they are, but it's a
Mm.
different way of looking at
Yeah.
things. And so
Yeah, that would surprise me.
but you got to think about it. And you and I have this conversation all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple ways of looking at religions and religious teachings, right? What
Yeah.
one person may look at as a negative, the other person is looking at as a positive, and then those people who are true observers and learners are taking the pieces that they need and applying them to their life a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that connects to the spirituality of it. So when
Yeah.
I say he is a Black Israelite, you don't necessarily have to think of, you know, an example of a Black Israelite that you may have met. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
different. It's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Wow, man. So, Charles, tell people about, you know, what you do and where they can hear you potting.
Sure. Well, for those that have not remembered from previous episodes that I've been on, formerly had a podcast, Views from the Two. Now I am doing So in the Meantime. I also have my wrestling-based podcast called Royal Club Wrestling, which you can find both of them on audio base. You can find them on anywhere you get your podcast from. But if you want to watch the video portion of it, along with any reaction videos, trailer reviews, all that good stuff, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's actually just my name. It's Charles Gilbert. That's where you can find all the videos. And I have a special announcement coming soon.
Oh,
Dope,
wow.
dope.
And if they want to get in touch with you on social media,
I had to think about it. My Instagram handle is energy_52. So that's INNERCHI_52.
right?
It probably will be right here in the video.
Oh, cool. And Russ, I mean, I feel that, you know, this ought to like really bring home yet again how you need a podcast show.
Adrian, do not worry.
Man.
I've been getting on him about this for the longest.
Jeez Louise, man.
Listen, I'm definitely there. Like I want to do it. There's a lot going on with work. And as much as I like LeBron James, man, I'm a Kevin Durant. Somebody build the dynasty, trade me. I'm gonna come in, get my points. I'm out. Because the minute that my mind even gets started, you know, I have a certain way I want things to look. And when I feel like I can't execute that look, I
Right.
don't feel like it's a true representation of me, as opposed to the infrastructure that you all have both built, that I support, that I acknowledge, that I really like. Even if I didn't know y'all, I could take something from each of you in the content that you all provide, and I wouldn't want to bring anything less to the people if I wasn't able to do it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like I was working on it, and then life kind of happened, and more so than anything happening emotionally, which I thought I was ready, you know, I was cool getting into it. What happened from a work perspective, it just affected me in a way I haven't been
Right.
affected in years,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And it's not like a negative thing. Like, I don't want people to think that when I keep talking about work, I hate my job. It's just not that. It's an energy thing for me. And I know
Yeah.
energy is a very popular thing for people to say, but being a Pisces and being a water sign, I like to go with the flow. And the water is just rocky as hell right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you.
It's hard to swim when that water is rocky. Like, yo, calm this shit down, please.
Well, you did do a podcast series with Charles, a football series. What was that called?
It was Gridiron Guys podcast.
Right.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and in some capacity, I want to do something like that with football. The season is kind of like
Just say the word.
rolling up.
Just say the word.
I'm down to do it in this capacity. If you like, yo, I'm about to hit up the StreamYard, come through. I'm there.
Listen, just say the word. I got two people that can go.
Want to do something. They want to do something.
No, of course.
I'm down, bro.
Of course, and you know, I'm officially like,
yeah, man. Welcome.
You're officially what?
Welcome.
I missed it.
I'm officially back in the NFL.
Yeah.
Oh,
man,
right.
Oh man,
okay,
that was such
good.
a beautiful thing. I had talked to Side as a side note. Oh, I don't want to go into My bad. I'll tell y'all.
No, you could go ahead if you want.
Look, I talked to Side as a side note in the Instagram chat because I was asking him if he wanted to play fantasy and everything. And all of a sudden he brought up, he said, "Hey, I'm mad Charles got a Trey Lance jersey." And I was just like, nah, man, that's greatness. You know what I mean? Like, look, he's on it early. You know what I mean? As soon as Trey Lance blows up, and everybody's like, "Oh, we love Trey Lance." He day one. It's perfect. It's perfect.
That's what I tried explaining to him.
Yeah, in whatever capacity he loves the 49ers, it's fine with me. That's
and
it.
Saad has been, let people know Saad has been on your podcast. He's been a part of things.
Saad is my best friend, my right hand. He is the other half of the Royal Club Wrestling podcast. He's a diehard Bills fan. And he honorarily blessed me into the Mafia since I led him into the Lakers. I led him into the Laker Nation because he's
who knows how you can live in Buffalo and not be a Bills fan. I don't know.
That man is an individual.
You know,
he moves to the beat of his own drum.
He's a native.
He's an individual
because
he doesn't succumb to peer pressure.
This is how.
Next thing I know, you'll be saying you're a Patriots fan.
No. If you speak to my brother will tell you that, but it was never the case. It was never the case. I just like Tom Brady. I've come to the realization that
hey, look, as a human, he's fine.
With football,
no problem.
I am loyal to no team in football. It's all players. It's all players. Basketball, Laker Nation all day.
Yeah. Well, I can't argue that. So Russ, if somebody wants to get in touch, can they get in touch with you, or should they come through me? I'll be the gatekeeper.
Yeah, they can always go through you or Charles, either one of them. But if they're looking for me, I'm Night Owl 23 on Instagram, KNIGHTOWL23, and I'm also Mr. Murchison, like MR.MURCHISON on Instagram, but I rarely posted that account. I just wanted to have my name, and I posted a couple of things, but yeah, I'm here.
Well, wonderful. Gosh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought this was great. I thought it was a great idea, and it's so cool. It's so cool to relate over art this way.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well,
we have to, like I said, we have to do more of these because
man, I'm down.
I have to no longer be the person that starts arguments.
Hey, listen, as I always tell y'all, anytime y'all want me on a pod, I'm down.